Very well, thank you for returning with us. You're watching Smart 24 TV. This is SMB. Sonko, how are you doing?
I'm good. Whoever's catching up the show, welcome on board. To all those who started with us, well, thank you very much for keeping up smart. For keeping it smart means business. Here, we are dedicated to make sure that we keep you up to speed with information regarding business. A lot has been happening across the world. A lot has been happening across the country. I will definitely be saying, well, you really need to have all this information, and you can only get that information if you're tuning into Smart Means Business and also keeping up to speed with every detail to do with business on Smart 24 TV as we drive your business.
Very well, and as business community, something you cannot do away with is at least what comes from online community. And for now, we're going to look at the online stories that are making headlines around there. And we earlier on, 2 weeks back, Smart 24 aired on the hope after the revamption of the MV Pamba. But what is coming from MV Kalangala to suspend operations effective this Friday? Let us dive into this one and also what they say is and towards why it is coming at such a commitment. Now, effective this Friday, MV Kalangala, the only that is playing the Entebbe Kalangala route, will temporarily be suspend operations to undergo the annual mandatory docking inspection. And according to Mr. Sandala Musoke, the Chief Executive Officer around the Nation Oil Distributors Limited, he affirmed that managing the vessel when MV Kalangala sails to Kalangala on Thursday evening, the return to Entebbe on Friday morning will be not going back, and this will be effective Friday around 25th 2022, suspending no more transportation services between Entebbe and Kalangala, and also for approximately a month to allow it have and also a very well implemented engine overhauls, as the machine or mechanical problems with it also gets to be checked on that. But how do we now mitigate our trade activities, and also how do we make sure we continue to trade even away with the MV Kalangala? Of course, it has been taking a lot of tons that is crossing from Entebbe to Kalangala, crossing, leaving vis-a-vis really Entebbe Kalangala, vice versa. But how about what is the fate of these goods and services, or even the people that have been sailing along with it? Sonko, what is your say on the suspension of the MV Kalangala, suspending its operations for a month?
Well, first of all, you're going to also look at the fact that these traders had some complaints, I would say. Reason being, that ferry could make only 2 trips a day. So from Entebbe to Kalangala, approximately it takes around 6 hours if you're using that particular MV, unless when you're using these other speedboats, all that. But mainly for the MV, it could take 6 hours. That is why they would use 2 routes. Reason being, some people are actually scared to move late in the night, and you know the waves that are related to that. So 2 routes were actually being taken per day, and still it seemed it would be affecting business. Imagine if I told you want to actually carry your goods for like maybe for like a full day, you want to do a lot of business, and then the only chance you have is
during the night.
So because it was only making 2 routes. And for the people in Masaka, surprisingly, that move from the Masaka to Kalangala, those ones actually
Kampala, Masaka, Bukakata.
Those ones actually take only 30 minutes to and fro. So business in Masaka to Kalangala is very effective, very fast. You can easily do business in the shortest time possible. So the other side, it was affecting business in terms of the fact that the ferry was only making 2 trips a day. So with that, it would affect in some way the type of goods you could transport were limited, and the level of doing work in the shortest period of time was also affected. Now at the time when it's suspended, again it's going to affect the business community.
And it's going to come with a lot of cost.
Yes.
Like you say, a lot of cost is going to be incurred there. But however, when you look at the route of around Entebbe, Kampala, Masaka, Bukakata, because at some point it would land around Bukakata landing site. And this is longer compared to actually the route to Entebbe direct to Kalangala. And when that means a longer route, of course you incur more cost. If in case you're to use fuel, that means you're going to incur more fuel charges around there. But the transportations around there, or the transporter from government, said they are considering procuring of a ferry prosperately to carry on cargo along the Entebbe Kalangala route. And according to a quote here, he said that we currently have many private vessels playing the Entebbe Kalangala route, but since all do not carry heavy cargo and vehicles, we end up connecting to Kalangala through Masaka, which is costly, like I said earlier. So around that area, government is looking out to establish at least a ferry that would do an alternative way to carry on cargo for at least this month, when the MV shall be, held on standby. Do you see that coming? There is a saying, just putting a statement out there in public, and it is there as a statement, but there is also an implementation progress of it. So do you see government within a month putting up an alternative ferry to make sure cargo continues?
Well, first of all, I hope it does not take time for government to work on the situation. It may be maybe they say 1 full month of suspension. When you look at the MV Pamba, it took 16 years to get back. So you can see, and it took 16 years. It was in 2019 that they started to make sure that they do they work on making sure they keep it to the world standards and all that. But still, it shows you that if at all that happened to MV Pamba, what will happen to this one that was given a full month? And more so, if at all people get other means of doing business, then maybe government will think of taking its time. So first, when you look at the situation, I would want to know if it will actually only take a month before it goes back onto the water, because that will be another bigger challenge that we have. In most cases, our challenges that we have is we take time to solve a problem that is affecting a number of people. So if you look at 1 month, if the 1 month is viable, then we should first look and see if maybe by the end of March, will this MV Kalangala get back on board?
Like you mentioned earlier, I take from you, we tend to take time towards, things that are really important in trade at some point. And at this point, they are regarded as trade barrier. For example, that suspension is a trade barrier along the shores and to the people that use it. And within a very short period after the resumption of the MV Pamba, we saw here, because we relayed a story about 100 billion that was being collected at least a week. So you can see the resumption that comes along after everything is on moving very well. You can imagine the revenue that is going, to shut down, because it's going to shut down, if there is no going to be transportation. And even though government is saying it will be providing an alternative to maybe a ferry that will be taking on from the operations, again, it's not going to come immediately or as soon as after 25th that is going to shut the operations. Government will still rethink, maybe give in a week, and still in a week a lot of costs are going to be incurred. So like you say, let us hope this process is not going to take long.
And we do hope, definitely, because it will affect us in the long run. Imagine if at all a ship that was suspended for a full month cannot actually be suspended, or it actually takes us time, maybe a full year, or we actually heading into 3 or 4 years. So mainly, let's try to look at the situations and say, hey, we hope government can come out and clearly look into the situations as to why the MV Kalangala was suspended, and after that, by the end of the month period, then we can definitely go back to using the MV Kalangala, because it's going to affect the business community. And even those that actually travel to head back to Kalangala, the people who actually work every day, but they come from Kalangala as they actually head to town. So mainly, those are among many people that will be affected if this is not put into use.
Okay, and more so moving on, as you bring to us what next on your online, we look at how government is going to be giving in at least a proposed new levy towards gold exportation. You know, some time back, that was, I think earlier on this week, we hosted Fred Muhumuza, an economist and also a lecturer at Makerere University. According to him, you know what we were saying, Sonko, earlier on, that there is always a challenge around the country. We tend to have a diversified produce. We're everywhere. Uganda is everywhere, away from being the Pearl of Africa. But we don't have something that, you know, is put out there internationally to always kick to, you know, people's mind, investors' mind, that, hey, that's Uganda. So we lack a product that can define us. So according to Muhumuza, he says, maybe we could take on gold as the country.
As the country's leading export.
Because it provides a lot, I mean, towards the revenue, even though we don't have it in plenty compared to the other minerals. But if we brand, it's towards branding. If we are to brand something, at least, and we brand it this Ugandan gold. Because there is no anywhere. Have you ever had Nigerian gold? Like when they're selling it as a brand, branded Nigerian gold, maybe Libya gold. So he brought something like, if we could brand our gold, though we do not have it in plenty, but just call it Ugandan gold, that is going to sell us effectively towards very many riches and states. That what he was saying. But now let us look at how government is giving in or proposing new levy for gold export. Maybe what you need to know is that the new proposal puts on a tax of about $100 for each kilogram of the refined gold, instead of the 5% and the 10% of the value of exported gold that had been imposed on two refined and unrefined gold export respectively. So government has given in a demand to reducing levy on gold export, and that has been implemented in July since last financial year. But gold dealers had in a month from July suspended gold exportation, demanding that government reviewed taxes and also had been imposed on the commodity. Therefore, no gold exporters have since been registered ever since, that is July, and with the impulse of heavily eating into the export volumes and the earnings, this has greatly affected its exportation. But gold had in the last 2 years before the suspension been the largest leading exportation volume, contributing at least 44% of the country's export volume. You see what I was saying earlier? We don't have a lot in plenty, but at least it leads as a largest we export it in large, contributing to towards at least the 44% for the country's export volume. This is responding actually to regards of process of that is from Ministry of Finance. But away from that, as we head into that discussion, the Mining and Mineral Bill in 2021 proposes a levy of about 100 for each kilogram, like I said earlier. So with these reductions or reductions around the exportation of gold, where do we head after here? Where do we go from here? Because if it has been contributing a 44% of a country's export volume,
gold,
that means, I mean, it's a great percentage. We have got products we have in plenty here, but they do not even reach a 44%, you get. So with the reduction of maybe taxation around there, what is soon to be ripped out of it? But how many people also are directly into tapping such opportunities of gold?
Very many. When you talk about gold, very many, because Ugandans are quick to actually pick up on something that is going to bring them money. But going back to what Fred Muhumuza did say is that if at all the gold, we can make it, let's say, rebrand it and brand it, let's say, Ugandan gold. In the long run, you would see that we have an identity as Uganda amongst the things that we would say we are gold exporters. And say we have Ugandan gold on the market, and the international market will only refer to us because we have gold. Now, let's also look at the fact that the 44% representing gold in terms of the exports that we've been having.
Volume.
Now, with the export volume hitting 44%, that is apparently about to hit 50%. And if you're hitting the 50% mark,
you're half of the GDP.
You're half already. So that means you're halfway the journey to clearly show that you have an impact. So that means gold has an impact on our exports. And like maybe we do not have that in plenty. We cannot come out and say we have mining. We have a lot of mining posts for gold and all that. But if at all we are exporting at that particular volume, I for one didn't even think that we export that much for 44%. And I think quite a number of Ugandans are also green about this, though there are also those that know and have information regarding gold. But like I said, many Ugandans can tap into this opportunity if they are given chance to, because normally sometimes things that bring in a lot of money in Uganda, or things that are exported out of Uganda, happen to be illegal things. Sometimes happen to be termed as illegal.
And speaking about illegal, it was earlier this week when Smart24 ran a story on how the much of gold being legally exported towards the USA, because it was the USA that was highlighting the volume or the percentage of illegal gold that is being in circulation in the USA. And according to the report, actually, it was highlighted that this illegalities are happening around the Entebbe airport, where some Ugandans, tend, to swindle, dealers in business know their game, of course. If you have watched Mexicano movies, if you have watched any movies that has got legality in there, sometimes it's not easy to track. That is why governments face challenges around tracking illegal means and also illegal activities happening when it comes to exportation. But when that report ran, that brought in a highlighter, actually, that, hey, can you check in? This is what is happening around the Entebbe airport. And the claims are that actually most of the gold is being gotten from DRC Congo. You see how a Ugandan is a Muyiya. So from the DR Congo, whatever or however it might come, there is a way a Ugandan businessman, it probably could not mean that he's a Ugandan citizen, but of course a Ugandan operating businessman, finds a way of maybe rebranding that gold, making value out of it. Because Sonko, it is one thing me digging out something from the soil, I bring it out with all of the soil on it, it is soily, it is dirty, and giving it to you. And whereas I refer it to you, maybe you're going to now put it, water it, make it clean, make it more, visible and attractive. So that's what a businessman here could do. And after that, they find their way towards illegal exportation and therefore hitting the US market. Yeah.
Right. But the only challenge is, like I said, we have a very huge problem with the fact that there's certain things that seem legal but illegal in this our motherland, and in most cases whereby someone
and you're free to always comment towards what we have got to say around there. There's always technicalities, but sure, we are here to drive together. Sonko, you were highlighting for us on how to better our exportations.
Well, I was now giving an example that there is something that looks legal, yet illegal in the country, in most cases. Now, for instance, if you look at people actually dealing in gold, it seems to be very illegal. I don't know whether they do not pass through the rightful channels when exporting these particular gold minerals.
Sometimes they're illegal. According to the report I was saying earlier on from the US that highlighted, especially in Uganda, among East African countries, the illegality is coming along with the trade of gold around the US. Most of it comes from Uganda, and it is illegal, or it has crossed illegally, therefore it has trespassed towards the US. But regardless, we are still making money.
No, we are, but you may look at the situation that we're making the money, and if it is legal, that means maybe the country is not getting as much as it's supposed to get.
Okay.
Because maybe there are some individuals or there is a group of people who have realized there is market for this gold, and they can reap big even without the country realizing how big they can reap from this particular gold.
Okay, then share with us what you have got, Sonko.
Well, on the other situation here, it takes us to government taking over the Namave thermal power plant. The government, through Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited, has taken over the management of the 50 megawatts Namave thermal plant from Jacobson Uganda Power Plant Company Limited.
Okay.
And in 2007, the government and Jacobson entered a build, own, operate and transfer boat agreement to establish the heavy fuel thermal plant, whose management would be handed over to government after 13 years. I think the 13 years already erupted, but now government is taking it over. The fact that the 13 years erupted, but now we have, I think it's now 16 years? No, it's now 17, because it was supposed to erupt in 2020, since 2007. And now it is erupting in 2022. Maybe due to the pandemic, all that.
Sometimes you can go back and find a way to do more business and say, hey, even when you're on credit, but when you go back, you're like, okay, can I give me a month? I'm going to be, maybe I will have done this in a particular month. Maybe add me some time. So sometimes businesses like that runs that way. But also what you have to know is that when government gives you something at the end of the day and thereafter comes back and says, you know what, your time is done, you have to always make sure at least you impress someone, you impress the entity that has given you an opportunity, not go taking it for granted, because at the end of the day there is going to be accountability, and in case that accountability is less than the expected amount or than the expected input at the initial plan, that means in case, Sonko, you're going to come back for another opportunity, I might say no.
All right, and with this situation, actually, Ruth Nankari, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, said government will be able and will be in position to save 7.7 billion shillings for the first 3 years and about 9 billion per year. So the first 3 years, that is with effect from this year, government will be able, from this particular thermal plant, will be able to save 7.7 billion. Says from 2022 to 2024. Then from there, in a period of 9 years, in the next years, not just 9 years, they will be able to save maybe 9 billion or more than that every year.
You know, Sonko, there is something I've realized. Among the stories we have always, aired around here, broadcast, the time limits for business-oriented opportunities are all ranging up to 2024. Why? Every goal you see, everything every report, every research I'm doing, you might find out that, okay, someone is highlighting, I'm going to do this up to 2024.
No, apparently most of the countries are looking at 2024 as a year that they're going to sit down to, let's say, try to draw back and see whether they've recovered from the losses they incurred in the last 2 years. Because most
is it going to be a year evaluation for the pandemic?
For the pandemic, why? Because the 2 years were not good ones for almost all the economies. 2 years, most of the sectors were down. So for 2 years, and the governments realized they cannot recover in a period of 1 year. You cannot recover from 2022 to 2023. So they had to give themselves a period of 2 years. Mostly all governments, sources coming in from all angles clearly see that preparations, most of the economic sectors in the world are looking at the financial year 2024-2025 as a year whereby everything is definitely going to get back to normal. That is why most of the economies are also trying as much as they can to digitalize their economies, so that by 2025 things are smoothly running digital.
Okay, we shall be here. We shall be here really to make sure we witness all these reports, all these, highlights that are telling us by 2024 everything will be ongoing very smoothly. What new do you have for us?
Well, what I definitely have for all the viewers on Smart 24 TV, you can as well catch us up on Your TV channel. The Your TV channel, you can download the app and it's free on MTN for all the MTN subscribers out there. If at all you want to drive business with us. You can use the Smart 24 TV. You can find Smart 24 TV on the Yo TV channel app. Definitely there you can also send in feedback. I've actually got information that we've been getting feedback from the viewers that have been getting us on Yo TV. So you can as well get those feedback. So with the comfort, just wherever you are, if you have your smartphone with you and you're a subscriber to MTN, you can freely download the Yo TV channel. You'll definitely get to watch Smart 24 TV and get everything to do with business stories, business reports, interviews, and everything from all angles of the world.
Yes, the great thing with that is that you can be able to watch us anywhere and everywhere you are at, whether you're showering in your bathroom, whether you're having lunch. It's simple as that. Through downloading it via MTN, you can very well get in touch with us. But not forgetting also, yes please.
Before that, there's some headline here that the government is set to close over 50 unlicensed child care homes. So we according to government, we kind of have over 50.
Like that's where we call it, like we rub hands and say, you know, that's fire coming. Okay,
50
take us
unlicensed child care homes. And when you look at this, the government through the Ministry of Youth and Children Affairs plans to close about 50 illegal children care homes across the country. The ministry is concerned about reports suggesting that there is a rise in childcare institutions in most urban areas that are unknown. This is right information, by the way. Because
hold it right there. What is your experience? It's like you've been trafficked.
I've happened to see a number of child care homes in the country whereby people are saying, I'm running charity.
Yes, taking care of the orphans.
No, the reason as why I think government is trying to trace down is because there are some reports attached to human trafficking from this. And there are others actually related to child abuse cases coming through, or others actually selling children. So there's more of the human trafficking, obviously. But when you look at that, it is because people are hiding in the name of doing charity, most of this. There are people actually doing it on a good cause, with the fact that they get even funding from non-government organizations. They try to go to communities to help out the street children or even orphans. But then there are others that are actually using it as an opportunity to just get money. So,
and speaking of that, something happened. I happened to watch something a day before. You realize there were, so a mother of 6, was it like 6 children, went on to a night concert. You know, it's already 11 in the night. And children below even 10 years, in other words, no, not even at home.
They were
on stage, entertaining people, and then police had to come and halt them down. And there is a claim that in such scenarios or situations, that is where also human trafficking or child abuses are happening. I mean, she was claiming that she has come to, you know, get something because there is no money. So when a child is there dancing, entertaining people, some goodwill will come, or good Samaritan, you know what? Get some lukumi, get some 2,000. But hey, where are you putting the stake of your child at that moment? You are putting your child's health out there already, getting to know, because in the night, even people go half naked, some people, because they're adults. But as a child, your mind is not yet there. And you're going to look at things you're not supposed to see. You may end up getting blind, by the way. So government moved to close down charitable organizations that are not meeting up to standards.
50.
Yeah, will help really curb situations of human trafficking and abuses around there.
No, well, when you look at over 50, then that means how do we even get them in there? Because if we have over 50,
well,
we do hope it comes at the time, and we also hope that those that are actually operating illegally but are supposed to be working, you know, there's times when you're actually operating illegally, but when you're doing the right thing, and we hope at least government can compromise with them a little bit and then maybe help them out.
Okay, and you can share with us what you think on child abuse and child trafficking or human trafficking from the range of doing charity or some organizations. We take a break. SMB returns shortly.